On the night of April 1st, 2006, an event occurred in the city of Columbus that shocked the entire town, and as it would later turn out, the whole country. It was then that 27-year-old Brian Schaefer entered a bar, and after that, he was never seen again. Despite extensive media coverage, this case remains one of the most well-known disappearances in the state and continues to be a mystery. Brian, a 27-year-old medical university student, decided to celebrate the start of spring break and have a fun night out. He first invited his brother and sister-in-law to join him, but they already had plans for the evening. Then his girlfriend Alexis also declined, as she had decided to visit her family in Toledo. So, Brian headed to a bar called the Ugly Tuna with his friend nicknamed Clint. Remember this guy, as he might just be the key to solving the mystery of Brian Schaefer's disappearance. At 1:15 a.m., they were captured on surveillance cameras as they entered the bar. After spending some time there and having a few drinks, Brian was seen on camera again at 1:57 a.m. This was the last time he was ever seen. The bar closed at 2 a.m., and Clint assumed that Brian had headed home, since he only lived a few blocks away from the bar. But when Brian missed his flight the next day and was not seen at home, he was declared a missing person. Logically, the police started by reviewing surveillance footage, and it quickly became clear that there was no recording of Brian leaving the bar. The police managed to account for every patron from that night, except for him. Furthermore, Brian was not seen on any of the surveillance cameras in the nearby blocks. The police searched all nearby areas with tracking dogs, but found nothing. It was as if Brian had simply vanished into thin air. Worsening the situation was the fact that none of Brian's credit cards had been used, and his mobile phone had remained silent ever since. Alexis called his phone many times a day, but to no avail, until one day she finally heard Brian's voice on the other end. However, it was later revealed by the phone company that this was a technical glitch, as was the brief GPS signal from his phone that was once detected 14 miles away in the town of Hilliard. Despite the mysterious nature of the case, investigators have a few official theories about what might have happened. The first theory suggests that Brian could have exited through the service entrance of a nearby store, which at the time led to a construction site. He might have been accidentally buried alive under debris. Unfortunately, there is no evidence to support this, and checking the site later was deemed pointless. The second theory is somewhat speculative, based on the fact that a month before his disappearance, Brian's mother had passed away, an event he struggled to cope with. Police believe he may have decided to start a new life, running away with the insurance money he received after her death. However, Brian's relatives refused to believe this theory. It seemed like hope for solving the mystery was almost gone, until an interesting situation arose. When the police conducted polygraph tests on everyone present that night, one person flat out refused to take the test. Can you guess who it was? That person turned out to be Clint, the very friend Brian had been out with that night. Clint claimed that he had already told the authorities everything he knew, and saw no need to do it again on a polygraph test. It was obvious to everyone that he was hiding something. His reaction made that clear. However, his lawyer managed to argue successfully that taking a polygraph test was not mandatory. Even now, nearly 20 years later, Brian's family and friends still hold on to the hope that he will one day be found. The police even generated an age-progressed photo to show what Brian might look like today. On Thursday, August 8, 2013, Brandon Lawson, then 26, briefly returned to his San Angelo home after not coming home the previous night. Ladessa Lofton, Lawson's girlfriend of 10 years, mother of their 3 children, and stepmom to Lawson's eldest daughter, the two fought and he left. Lawson never returned. His last known location was along U.S. Highway 277, north of San Angelo, and right before the West Texas town of Bronte, population not quite 1,000. A red and white metal cross, standing about 3 feet tall, marks the spot where Brandon's pickup rolled to a stop that night. Even if you're looking for it, you might miss it among the overgrown brush and cactus that line the terrain. The night of Brandon Lawson's disappearance. According to a phone call he had with his father around 11:30 that night, Brandon was headed to his parents' house in Crowley, about 3 hours away. It was just past 12:30 a.m. when he called his brother Kyle Lawson, who also lived in San Angelo, asking for help because he ran out of gas. 3 are chasing me out of town, Brandon told his brother. When Brandon said it was the Mexicans in the neighborhood, Kyle asked if he was tripping, but Brandon denied it was all in his head. Kyle went over to Brandon and Lofton's house, less than a mile away, to get a gas can, then headed out of town with his wife at the time and 4-year-old son. The brothers kept making calls to one another, but Kyle said Brandon wouldn't have a full conversation with him, more or less saying a sentence or two before hanging up. At one point, Brandon said he was running through a field and was bleeding, which Kyle took as him tripping over some rocks or another minor accident of the sort. At 12:50 a.m., Brandon called 911, which at the time rang at the local nursing home in Robert Lee. The call is hard to understand, but many have said Brandon sounded distressed. Among a series of unclear statements, he told the dispatcher he ran out of gas, was in the middle of a field, that he needed help, and asked, "Please hurry." When the dispatcher asked if Brandon needed an ambulance, he said, "No, I need the cops."
Yes, I'm in the middle of the field. It take we're just pushed some guys over. My truck ran out of gas. There's one car here. You gotta take the pieces to the woods. Please hurry. You need an ambulance? No, I need the cops.
Spotty cell phone service kept several calls to and from Brandon Lawson from connecting. Here's a look at those phone records. Deputy Neal arrived at Brandon's pickup just after 1 a.m., after dispatch received a 911 call from a trucker along US 277 that reported Brandon's F-150 obstructing traffic by being over the white line. The last gas station before Bronte is in San Angelo, a distance of about 30 miles between one another, so Neal had responded to plenty of calls of people running out of gas. When he arrived at Brandon's pickup, Brandon wasn't there, but Kyle was just pulling up. "I can see you. I'm right here," Kyle said Brandon told him, although he couldn't see his brother anywhere. With an active warrant out of Johnson County, Kyle assumed Brandon was hiding to avoid getting in trouble with the police. At that time, neither Neal nor Kyle knew about the 911 call Brandon had made. Kyle told Neal the pickup belonged to Brandon and that he was walking along the road, but his phone kept losing reception, purposely leaving out that Brandon said he was close by. "At the time, I didn't feel like he was in any danger," Kyle said. After Kyle and Neal finished talking, Kyle decided to drive away and park up the road a bit to see if his brother would come out once the deputy left. "I sat there for a good 30 to 45 minutes, Kyle said. He eventually left because his son was hungry and crying. When he did get back to the pickup about 5 a.m., Brandon wasn't anywhere to be found. I hollered and screamed my brother's name and he never came out." Is Brandon Lawson missing on purpose? One working theory is Brandon Lawson's criminal past and rocky relationship pushed him to voluntarily disappear and start a new life. The only sign of anyone being in that area was a spot under a tree where it appeared someone sat down close to the roadway within eyesight of where Lawson's pickup broke down, the report states. Lofton came to the sheriff's office to officially file a missing persons report on Tuesday, August 13th. The same day, Texas Ranger Nick Hanna, who now leads the case, came to Coke County to take a helicopter ride over the area from the Colorado River south and along both sides of US 277, near where Brandon's pickup was. It was determined that Lawson was not on the ground due to the fact that there was a lot of exposed bare ground, even under the short mesquite and cedar bushes, Neal wrote. His report is concluded with his opinion that Brandon Lawson is not in Coke County, lost or hiding. Several months after Brandon's disappearance, Kyle Lawson was asked to meet Ranger Hanna, Sheriff McCutcheon, and an investigator from Johnson County, where Brandon's warrant was issued, to answer questions. They asked Kyle whether he had hurt his brother or given him a ride somewhere. Kyle eventually requested a polygraph test. They said I passed the one on harming and tried to say the first one was faulty because I had coughed a few times during the test, Kyle said. For now, the red and white cross bearing Brandon's name that his grandfather made gives his family a place to visit every few months. I just want to find him, to have closure on where he's at. Then we'll get to the point of what happened, Lofton said. Finding him, no matter what. We would have somewhere to visit, not just that cross. In December 2000, 22-year-old Trevor Dealey left work after a Christmas party and disappeared without a trace in the heart of Dublin. His final steps were captured by surveillance cameras, but after that, no trace or clue remained as to what might have happened to this young man. A mysterious stranger who followed him that night, and decades of inconclusive investigations have created an atmosphere of mystery that still evokes unease. What really happened on that cold December night? Let's try to examine every detail of this case to understand where Trevor might have gone. Trevor Dealey was born in 1978 in Ireland and was the epitome of a young, successful professional. At 22, he worked at Bank of Ireland in asset management in Dublin, where he was valued for his friendly nature and active participation in the company's life. Trevor had many friends and was popular with his colleagues. On December 7, 2000, Trevor and his colleagues attended a Christmas party held at their office. Around 3 a.m., after hours of celebrating, he decided to head to a nightclub in the city center to continue the festivities with his friends. At the club, Trevor hung out with people he knew for a while, but around 3:25 a.m., he stepped out to retrieve an umbrella forgotten at the office. His departure wasn't memorable to other patrons, and Trevor, unaware of the events that would follow, headed back to his office. His final steps were captured by surveillance cameras, though no one knew these would be his last. After Trevor left the office, his last known steps were recorded by surveillance cameras. At 4:14 a.m., the video showed him crossing the bridge on Haddington Road. Although Trevor walked alone, a mysterious man in dark clothing was seen following shortly after. This became a key moment in the investigation, as the identity of the stranger remained unknown, and his intentions raised questions. From that point on, Trevor Dealey's disappearance turned into a mystery that captivated not only his family and friends, but also the public. When Trevor disappeared, his friends and colleagues grew worried when he didn't show up for work the next day. After contacting his family, they learned he never made it home. This prompted his family to reach out to the police, leading to the start of an investigation. The police promptly took on the case, interviewing witnesses and checking surveillance footage. There weren't many witness testimonies, but some noted seeing Trevor with a man in dark clothing on the bridge. However, no one could provide a detailed description or confirm his identity. Search teams, including volunteers, scoured nearby areas to no avail. In the following days, Trevor's disappearance became widely reported in the media, and his family actively pleaded for the public's help in finding him. Despite these efforts and media coverage, no new clues to his whereabouts were found. Trevor Dealey's disappearance became the subject of numerous theories and speculation among the public, media, and experts. The lack of concrete results in the investigation led to several main theories, attempting to explain this mysterious case. The first theory, abduction. Some witnesses claim to have seen Trevor being forced into a car. This theory is supported by reports of the mysterious figure near him on the bridge, but no evidence has been found to confirm it. Running away. There's also the view that Trevor decided to leave his life behind and disappear. This theory has a semi-solid foundation. His friends recalled his interest in going to Alaska, which could indicate a desire for a fresh start. However, his loved ones maintain that Trevor showed no signs of planning to run away. He had a stable job and good relationships. Psychological issues. Some theories point to possible mental health struggles Trevor may have faced. His wish to travel to Alaska or visit his girlfriend Jenny might have been an attempt to escape stress, but there's no evidence to support this. These theories illustrate how confusing Trevor Deely's disappearance has been. Each theory raises new questions, but none brings us closer to solving the mystery of his disappearance. In August 2017, there was an anonymous tip from a person who claimed to know what happened to Trevor Deely. According to this tip, the person who followed Trevor that night was a member of a local gang. Allegedly, the gang wanted to gain access to the Bank of Ireland building, hoping Trevor could help them. It's worth noting that the area Trevor walked through that night was infamous for gang activity. In 2019, the Irish Prison Service, Crime Stoppers, and Gardaí started distributing posters in prisons, asking for information on the case. Unfortunately, this approach has yielded no results so far. In December 2023, there was finally a long-awaited update in Trevor Deely's case. Trevor's brother Mark Deely reached out to the media to share crucial information received from the police. They were able to not only identify the man following Trevor in the ominous video, but also rule him out as a suspect. They're happy now that the person following Trevor down Haddington Road. There's nothing sinister in that he was not following. He was not tracking, Mark noted. They're totally happy that there's nothing sinister involved with that. Thanks to new technology, the police were able to enhance the video quality, which has been a big help in the investigation. However, despite these advancements, Trevor's family still has no clear answers regarding his disappearance. Still, the question remains, if this man was not involved in Trevor's disappearance, what truly happened to him? The mystery continues to trouble Trevor's family and friends, who hope the truth will eventually be uncovered.